The rain came down in sheets that October morning, turning the streets of Marietta, Ohio, into rivers of fallen leaves and reflected streetlights. Eleanor Price, 47 years old and a high school history teacher for the past 19 years, stood beneath the awning of the River Heritage Museum, watching the downpour with the careful composure of someone who'd learned to find peace in solitude. Her graying hair was pulled back in its usual practical bun, and her hands, weathered from years of gripping chalk and coffee cups during long nights of not sleeping, clutched a worn leather messenger bag against her chest. She'd come to the museum's annual craft fair out of habit more than interest. Her wife, Rebecca, had encouraged her to get out of the house, to stop spending every Saturday morning sitting at the kitchen table with the old case files spread out like accusatory ghosts. 26 years. It had been 26 years since that August afternoon when everything shattered. 26 years of searching, of following leads that dissolved like morning fog, of waking in the middle of the night with her heart hammering against her ribs. Eleanor moved through the crowded exhibition hall with mechanical politeness, nodding at familiar faces from the community. The air smelled of cinnamon from the vendor in the corner and wet wool from rain-soaked coats. She paused at a display of hand-thrown pottery, admiring the craftsmanship without really seeing it. This was her life now, going through motions, maintaining the appearance of normalcy while carrying the weight of an unsolved tragedy that had carved her into something hollow. Then she saw it. The room seemed to tilt. A young woman, perhaps 24 or 25, stood 3 booths away, examining a collection of vintage maps. She wore a burgundy cardigan and jeans, her dark hair falling in waves past her shoulders. But it wasn't the woman Eleanor noticed first. It was the object dangling from a silver chain around her neck. A compass, but not just any compass. This one was sterling silver, no larger than a $50 coin, with an ornate lid that bore an engraved pattern Eleanor would recognize in her sleep. 3 interlocking circles, forming a continuous loop. The symbol her grandfather had used to sign his letters. The symbol he'd painstakingly carved into the lid of the compass he'd given to Eleanor's daughter on her 7th birthday. The symbol that had been unique to their family. A representation of the unbreakable bond between past, present, and future. Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. Her knuckles went white against the strap of her messenger bag. The compass hung there, catching the fluorescent lights of the museum hall, turning slightly as the young woman moved. Eleanor could see the small dent on the bottom right edge, the one from when 7-year-old Lily had dropped it in the driveway on August 14, 1998, just hours before she vanished from their backyard at 5:47 p.m. on an ordinary Friday evening. Eleanor's legs moved without conscious thought. She crossed the space between them, dodging other fairgoers, her vision tunneling until nothing existed except that compass and the impossible reality of seeing it here, now, after 26 years of searching. "Excuse me." Her voice came out hoarse. She cleared her throat. "Excuse me, miss." The young woman turned, her expression polite and mildly curious. Up close, Eleanor could see her features clearly. The high cheekbones, the particular shade of green in her eyes, the slight dimple in her left cheek that only appeared when she wasn't quite smiling. "Yes?" the woman said. Eleanor's hand trembled as she pointed at the compass. "That necklace. Where did you get it?" The woman's hand moved instinctively to the compass, her fingers closing around it protectively. A flicker of confusion crossed her face. "This? It's been in my family forever. My father gave it to me when I was young. Why?" "Your
father."
Eleanor's voice cracked. She fumbled with her messenger bag, hands shaking so badly she could barely unzip the front pocket. "What's your father's name?" "I'm sorry, I don't." The woman took a small step backward. "Is there a problem?" Eleanor pulled out her phone, fingers flying across the screen with desperate urgency. She found the photo, the one she'd looked at 10,000 times, the one that had been printed in newspapers across 3 states, the one that still hung on the bulletin board in the Washington County Sheriff's Office. She thrust the phone toward the young woman. "This," Eleanor said, her voice breaking. "This is my daughter. This photo was taken on August 14th, 1998, at 2:30 p.m. in our backyard. Do you see what she's wearing around her neck? The woman stared at the phone screen. The photo showed a young girl, maybe 7 years old, grinning at the camera with 2 front teeth missing. She wore a yellow sundress and held up a silver compass on a chain, showing it off proudly. The compass was clearly visible, the same size, the same engraved lid, the same small dent on the bottom right edge. "That's," the woman's voice faltered. "That's the same compass." "Yes." Eleanor's hands shook so violently she nearly dropped the phone. "That compass was custom made by my grandfather in 1967. He was a silversmith. That pattern on the lid, those 3 interlocking circles, it was his personal symbol. He only ever made 3 pieces with that design: a ring for my grandmother, a bracelet for my mother, and that compass for my daughter. On her 7th birthday, 3 months before she was taken from our backyard." The woman's face had gone pale. "Taken? I don't... My father said..." "What did your father say?" Eleanor pressed. "Please, I need to know. What's your father's name?" Martin Reeves." The words came out barely above a whisper. "He told me my mother died when I was young. He said this compass was hers, that she'd wanted me to have it." Eleanor's vision blurred with tears. "What's your name?" "Lily." The woman's voice was steady, but her eyes showed confusion and the first stirrings of fear. "Lily Reeves." The world dropped away. Eleanor gripped the edge of the booth's table to keep herself upright. "Lily," she repeated. "Your name is Lily?" "Yes, The woman's hand was still clutched around the compass. "Why are you asking me these questions? What's going on?" Eleanor pulled out another item from her bag, a laminated card she'd carried for 26 years. It was a missing persons poster, the edges worn from constant handling. The same photo of the 7-year-old girl, and below it, Lily Ann Price. Missing since August 14, 1998. Last seen, 5:47 p.m., 247 Maple Street, Marietta, Ohio. Age at disappearance, 7 years old. "My daughter's name," Eleanor said, her voice trembling with 2 decades of grief and sudden, terrifying hope, "was Lily Ann Price. She disappeared from our backyard 26 years ago. She was 7 years old. She was wearing that compass." The woman, Lily Reeves or Lily Price or whoever she truly was, stared at the poster, then at the phone, then down at the compass in her hand. Her breathing had become rapid and shallow. "This isn't possible," she whispered. "My father, he wouldn't. I have memories. I remember my childhood. I remember..." "How old are you?" Eleanor asked. "I just turned 27 in June." Eleanor did the math instantly, a calculation she'd done countless times, marking each birthday her daughter had missed. Lily was born June 12, 1991. She would be 27 now. The woman's eyes widened. "My birthday is June 12th. They stood there in the crowded museum hall, rain drumming against the windows, the noise of the craft fair fading into meaningless background static. Eleanor could hear nothing but her own heartbeat, could see nothing but this young woman who wore her daughter's compass and carried her daughter's name and had her daughter's birthday. "I need to..." The woman's voice shook. "I need to call my father." "Wait," Eleanor said quickly. "Please, I know this is overwhelming. I know you're scared, but please, can I at least give you my number? Can we talk more? I have documentation, police reports, photos, medical records. I have..." Her voice broke. "I have 26 years of searching for my daughter." The woman looked at her for a long moment, and Eleanor could see the war playing out behind those green eyes, the same shade of green that Eleanor saw in the mirror every morning, the same shade her own mother had passed down through 3 generations. "My father is a good man," the woman said finally, but her voice held a note of uncertainty that hadn't been there before. "He raised me. He took care of me. There has to be an explanation." "I'm sure there is," Eleanor said, though her heart screamed otherwise. "And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's all a coincidence. But that compass," she pointed at it. "That compass has a serial number engraved inside the lid. My grandfather kept meticulous records. If you open it, you'll find the number H67-031. The H stood for Harold, his first name. The 67 was the year he started his silversmith business, and 031 was the 31st piece he ever made. The woman's hands trembled as she unclasped the chain and opened the compass lid. Inside, beneath the glass face, tiny numbers were engraved. H67-031. She looked up at Eleanor, and now there was genuine fear in her eyes. "I don't understand what's happening." "I know," Eleanor said gently. She pulled out a business card from her wallet, plain white, her name and phone number handwritten in careful script. "Please, take this. Look up the case if you want. Marietta, Ohio, August 1998, Lily Price. It was all over the news for months. Then call me, or don't call me, but please, keep that compass safe. It might be the only real connection either of us has to the truth." The woman took the card with shaking hands. She looked down at the compass again, then back at Eleanor. "If what you're saying is true, if any of this is real, then my entire life has been a lie." "I know," Eleanor whispered. "I'm so sorry." The woman nodded once, closed the compass, and clasped it back around her neck. Without another word, she turned and walked quickly toward the exit, leaving Eleanor standing alone in the middle of the craft fair, her entire body trembling with adrenaline and desperate, terrifying hope. Eleanor watched her go, then pulled out her phone with shaking hands and called Rebecca. "Ellie?" Rebecca's voice came through immediately, warm and concerned. "Are you okay? Do you need me to come get you?" "Becca," Eleanor's voice broke completely. "I found her. I found Lily's compass. I think I found Lily." Eleanor drove home through the rain in a daze, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles ached. Rebecca had offered to come immediately, but Eleanor needed to get home, needed to be in their house, needed to see the files again with fresh eyes and this new, impossible information. When she pulled into the driveway of their modest craftsman bungalow on Cedar Avenue, Rebecca was already waiting on the covered front porch, her auburn hair pulled back, her face tight with worry and cautious hope. "Tell me everything," Rebecca said as soon as Eleanor was close enough. They went inside together, past the living room where photos of Lily still hung on the walls, a shrine to a 7-year-old girl frozen in time. Eleanor led them straight to the spare bedroom they'd converted into what Rebecca called the research room, though Eleanor knew her wife thought of it more as an obsession chamber. 3 filing cabinets stood against one wall. Plastic storage bins were stacked in the closet. A corkboard covered most of another wall, covered in photos, news clippings, maps, and red string connecting various points. Eleanor had spent 26 years as an amateur investigator, learning everything she could about missing persons cases, following every lead, no matter how small. She'd taken courses in criminal justice. She'd built relationships with retired detectives. She'd never given up, even when everyone else, including, in her darker moments, Rebecca, had suggested it might be time to let go. "Okay," Eleanor said, pulling out the bottom drawer of the first filing cabinet. "We need the original police report, the photos from that day, the witness statements, and we need to look up Martin Reeves." Rebecca had already opened her laptop at the small desk in the corner. "Martin Reeves. Spelling?" "Reeves. She said it's her father. She called herself Lily Reeves." Rebecca's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Age range?" "If he took her when she was 7, he'd be in his 50s now at minimum. Probably older." Eleanor spread the contents of the file folder across the floor. Photos, police reports with case number OHWC 0847. Newspaper clippings with dates clearly visible. Her own handwritten journals from those first awful weeks. She pulled out the original missing person report, filed by her and her then partner James, on August 14, 1998, at 8:34 p.m. The report was heartbreaking in its specificity. Lily Ann Price, age 7, last seen in backyard of residence at 247 Maple Street at approximately 5:47 p.m. Wearing yellow sundress, white sandals, silver compass necklace, family heirloom. Mother, Eleanor Price, was inside preparing dinner. Checked on child at 5:47 p.m. Child was playing with dolls near swing set. Returned inside. Checked again at 6:15 p.m. Child was gone. Immediate search of property and surrounding area. Child has not been seen since. Got him, Rebecca said suddenly. Martin Reeves, age 63, lives in Columbus. That's only 2 hours from here. He's listed as a retired high school counselor. Worked at, she paused. Ellie, he worked at Madison High School in Lancaster until 2019. Lancaster? Eleanor's breath caught. That's 45 minutes from Marietta. There's more. Rebecca's voice had gone tight. According to property records, he owned a house in Zaleski from 1995 to 2006. Zaleski is 30 minutes from Marietta. Eleanor's hands shook as she pulled out another document from the file, the witness statement given by their neighbor, Dorothy Chen, on August 15, 1998. She'd read it 1,000 times, but she read it again now with new eyes. I was watering my garden around 5:30 p.m. on August 14th. I saw a man walking slowly past the Price residence. He seemed to be looking at the backyard. I didn't think much of it. People walk through the neighborhood all the time. But he walked past twice, once going north, then about 10 minutes later going south. I couldn't see his face clearly. He wore a baseball cap and sunglasses. Medium height, medium build. I'd estimate 40s or 50s. I didn't see him approach the house, and I went inside around 5:50 p.m. Dorothy Chen's statement, Eleanor said aloud. She saw a man walking past our house twice that afternoon. He was watching the backyard. Rebecca came over and knelt beside her on the floor. What are you thinking? I'm thinking that Martin Reeves was a high school counselor, which means he worked with children. He was in his late 30s in 1998. He lived 30 minutes away in Zaleski. And somehow his daughter, who he claims to have raised from childhood, is wearing my daughter's compass and shares my daughter's name and birthday. Ellie. Rebecca's voice was gentle but firm. We need to call Detective Morrison. Eleanor shook her head. Not yet. I need more. I need to know who this man is. I need to... Her phone rang. The number was local but unfamiliar. Eleanor answered, her voice barely steady. Hello? Miss Price? It was her, the young woman from the museum. This is Lily Reeves. I looked up the case. I found the articles online. I saw... Her voice cracked. I saw photos of the missing girl. Of me. Of what I looked like when I was 7. Where are you? Eleanor asked. I'm at home. My apartment in Columbus. My father doesn't live with me. He has his own place across town, but I called him. I told him what happened. I asked him about the compass. What did he say? There was a long pause. He said, we need to talk in person. He's on his way here now. He sounded... Another pause. He sounded scared and sad. Miss Price, I think you might be right. I think something terrible happened. And I think my father, the man I've called Dad my entire life, I think he knows what it is. Eleanor closed her eyes. 26 years of grief and rage and desperate hope crashing over her like a wave. Do you want me to come there? Do you want me to be present when he arrives? I don't know. The young woman's voice was small. I don't know what I want. I don't know anything anymore. But I thought you should know. Whatever happens tonight, I'll call you. I promise. Lily, Eleanor said, and the name felt both foreign and perfectly natural on her tongue. Please be safe. If you feel threatened in any way. He's my father, the woman interrupted. He's been my father for 24 years, for my entire memory. He coached my soccer team. He helped me with homework. He sat with me in the hospital when I had my appendix out. He taught me to drive. He's... Her voice broke. He's everything to me. And if what you're saying is true, then he's also a monster. And I don't know how to hold both of those things in my head at the same time. "I understand," Eleanor whispered, though she wasn't sure she did. All she understood was the fierce, primal recognition she'd felt when she saw that compass. "Call me, anytime, day or night. Please." "I will, I promise." The line went dead. Eleanor looked at Rebecca, then down at the files spread across their floor. 26 years of documentation, of investigation, of refusing to give up. She pulled out one more photo, this one from Lily's 6th birthday party. Her daughter sat at their kitchen table, her gap-toothed smile enormous, a birthday cake shaped like a castle in front of her. Her biological father, James, stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder. Eleanor herself was visible at the edge of the frame, holding up a camera to take another photo. That was before James had left, unable to cope with the disappearance. Before Eleanor had met Rebecca 5 years later at a support group for families of missing children. Before Rebecca had slowly, patiently helped Eleanor rebuild some semblance of a life while never asking her to give up the search. "We need to find out everything we can about Martin Reeves," Eleanor said finally. "Tonight, before he gets to Lily's apartment, before he has a chance to convince her of some explanation. We need to know who he is and what connection he has to our family." Rebecca nodded and returned to the laptop. "I'm searching property records, employment history, anything I can find." Eleanor pulled out her own laptop and opened a search engine. She typed, "Martin Reeves, Lancaster, Ohio, 1998. And there, in the 4th result, she found it. A newspaper article from the Lancaster Eagle-Gazette dated March 8, 1998, 5 months before Lily disappeared. The headline read, "Local counselor's family perishes in house fire." Eleanor's hands trembled as she clicked the link. The article loaded and she read aloud, "Martin Reeves, 37, a guidance counselor at Madison High School, lost his wife and 2 daughters in a house fire early Saturday morning. The fire, which began in the home's electrical system, quickly engulfed the Reeves residence on Forest Drive. Mrs. Patricia Reeves, 35, and daughters Emma, 9, and Sarah, 7, were killed in the blaze. Mr. Reeves was not home at the time of the incident, having been called to the school for an emergency. Fire investigators have ruled the fire accidental." Eleanor stopped reading, the words blurring together. She looked up at Rebecca. "His wife died," Eleanor said, "and his 2 daughters. One of them was 7 years old, the same age as Lily." Rebecca's face had gone pale. "When?" "March 1998, 5 months before Lily disappeared." They stared at each other across the floor, covered in case files and old photos. Outside, the rain continued to fall, and somewhere across the city, a man who had lost everything was driving toward his daughter, or toward Eleanor's daughter, to explain the inexplicable. "We need to call Detective Morrison," Rebecca said again, firmer this time. "Now, before this goes any further." Eleanor nodded slowly. She picked up her phone, scrolling through her contacts until she found the number she'd called hundreds of times over the years. Detective Harold Morrison, Washington County Sheriff, retired. He answered on the second ring. "Eleanor, it's been a while." "Harry," she said, and her voice was surprisingly steady. "I found her. I found Lily. And I think I know who took her." Detective Harold Morrison sat across from Eleanor and Rebecca at their kitchen table 90 minutes later, his weathered face grave as he reviewed the documents they'd compiled. At 71 years old, he'd officially retired from the Washington County Sheriff's Department 8 years ago, but he'd made it clear when he left that the Lily Price case would haunt him until the day he died. "Martin Reeves," he said, tapping the printout of the newspaper article. "I remember this fire. It was terrible. The whole department knew about it. House fires with children are always the worst calls. But I never made the connection." "Why would you?" Eleanor said. "Lancaster is in a different county. He was just a grieving father who'd lost everything. No one would have looked at him as a suspect in a child abduction 5 months later." Morrison pulled out his phone. "I'm calling Sheriff Patterson. We need active law enforcement on this, now." If this man has your daughter Eleanor, we need to move carefully. He's had 26 years to build a life with her. He could run. He stopped himself, but they all knew what he wasn't saying. He could hurt her, rather than give her up.
She called me,
Eleanor said quickly.
the young woman, Lily Reeves. She's at her apartment in Columbus right now. She said Martin is on his way to talk to her. She promised to call me after.
Morrison's expression darkened. That's not good. He knows she's found out. He'll be desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. He stood up, phone already to his ear. I'm calling this in. We need Columbus PD to do a welfare check. Where's her address? Eleanor pulled out her phone, but there was no new message from the young woman. She'd never given her address.
I don't have it. She didn't.
Last name Reeves, first name Lily, Columbus, Morrison said, already speaking to someone on the other end. Run it through the system. We need an address now. Rebecca gripped Eleanor's hand across the table.
She'll be okay. She said she'd call.
But 20 minutes passed, then 30, then 45. Morrison had mobilized both Washington County Sheriff's Department and Columbus Police Department. They'd found an address, Lily Reeves, apartment 4B, 2847 Henderson Road, Columbus. Units were en route for a wellness check. Eleanor couldn't sit still. She paced the kitchen, then the living room, then back to the kitchen. She stared at her phone, willing it to ring. At 7:42 p.m., it finally did. Miss Price? The voice was male, older, trembling. This is Martin Reeves. Eleanor froze. Morrison, who'd been watching her, immediately gestured for her to put it on speaker. She did, her hands shaking.
Mr. Reeves,
she said carefully.
I know what you think happened, he said.
His voice was thick with emotion, fear, grief, maybe guilt. I know how it looks. Lily showed me the photos, the newspaper articles, the compass.
Then
you know I need my daughter back. A long silence. Then, she's not. It's not that simple. Not simple. Eleanor's voice rose despite her effort to stay calm. You took my child. You stole 26 years of her life, of my life. I saved her. The words came out harsh, almost angry. I saved her from a world that was going to forget her, that was going to move on, that was going to... That's not your decision to make. Eleanor was shaking now, rage and grief overwhelming her carefully maintained composure. She was my daughter. Mine. You had no right. My daughters died. His voice broke completely. Patricia and Emma and Sarah died in a fire while I was at work. Sarah was 7 years old. Do you understand? She was 7. The same age. The same... He was openly weeping now. I saw her in your backyard that day. I'd driven past your house dozens of times. I'd watched her playing. She looked so much like my Sarah. The same dark hair, the same laugh. And that day when I saw her alone, I thought God was giving me another chance. Morrison had his own phone out, texting rapidly. Eleanor knew he was coordinating with the units heading to the apartment. But she kept talking, keeping Martin on the line. So you took her, Eleanor said. You stole her from her home, from her family. I gave her a family. His voice was firmer now, defensive. I gave her everything. I raised her. I loved her. I was a good father to her, Eleanor. I was there for every scraped knee, every bad dream, every milestone. Can you say the same? Can you say you would have... Because you didn't give me the chance. Eleanor was crying now, Rebecca's arms wrapped around her from behind. You didn't give either of us the chance. You played God with our lives because you were grieving, because you couldn't cope with your loss. So you created a new loss for me, for her biological father, for everyone who loved her. I know. The fight seemed to go out of him. I know it was wrong. I've always known, but I couldn't. I couldn't lose another daughter. I couldn't survive that again. Where is she now? Eleanor demanded. Where is Lily? She's here. She's safe. He paused. She's confused, angry. She doesn't know what to believe. I told her everything. The fire, how I saw her, how I waited until you were inside and then I approached her and told her I was a friend of her mother's. How she came with me willingly because children trust adults who sound confident. How I drove her to a cabin I'd rented in West Virginia, far from anyone who would recognize her. How I kept her there for 3 months while the search died down. How I'd already prepared documents, a birth certificate, school records, everything. I'd been planning it since the day I saw her, Eleanor. Since the first day I drove past your house and saw her playing in that yellow sundress. Eleanor felt like she might be sick. 3 months. You kept her in a cabin for 3 months. I was kind to her, he said quickly. I told her there had been an accident, that her mother had died, that I was her uncle and I was going to take care of her now. She cried for weeks. She asked for you constantly. But children forget, Eleanor. Their memories are flexible. By the time we moved to Zaleski, she believed the story. She believed I was her father. She called me Dad. You brainwashed a 7-year-old child. I gave her a life. His voice rose again. I gave her stability and love and... A knock echoed through the phone. Then voices. Columbus Police, open the door. They're here, Martin said softly. I knew they would come. I'm glad, actually. I'm tired, Eleanor. I'm so tired of running and hiding and lying. I've been dying anyway. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. I have maybe 4 months left. I wanted to tell her the truth before I died. I wanted her to know her real family. I wanted... The phone was muffled. Eleanor could hear shouting, the sound of the door opening, more voices. Then a new voice came on the line. This is Officer Martinez, Columbus PD. Is this Eleanor Price? Yes, Eleanor managed. Ma'am, we have Mr. Reeves in custody, and we have a young woman here who says her name is Lily Reeves. She's requesting to speak with you. Put her on, please. A rustling sound, then. Miss Price? I'm here, Eleanor said. He told me everything. Lily's voice was hollow. Every detail. How he watched your house for weeks. How he chose that day because your partner's car wasn't in the driveway. How he convinced me to get in his car by telling me you'd been hurt and he was taking me to the hospital. How I cried for you for months. How he slowly convinced me that my memories were dreams. That my real mother had died in a car accident when I was a baby. That the woman I thought I remembered was just a fantasy I'd created. Lily, my whole life is a lie. She was crying now. Every memory I have, every birthday, every holiday, every moment of my childhood, it's all built on a foundation of kidnapping and brainwashing and... Her voice broke completely. I don't know who I am anymore. Eleanor closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. You're my daughter. You're Lily Ann Price. You were born June 12, 1991, at Marietta Memorial Hospital at 3:47 a.m. You weighed 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Your first word was, more. You loved strawberry ice cream and hated bananas. You were afraid of thunderstorms, but brave about everything else. You wanted to be a veterinarian because you loved animals. Her voice broke. You are my daughter, and I have spent every single day of the last 26 years searching for you. I want to meet you, Lily said softly. I want to know who I really am, but I'm scared. I'm so scared. I know. I am too. The police want me to give a statement, and they want to know if you're pressing charges against
Against him. She couldn't seem to say his name anymore. Yes, Eleanor said
Firmly. I'm pressing every charge possible. He stole 26 years from both of us. He deserves to answer for that. Morrison took the phone gently from Eleanor's hand. This is Detective Harold Morrison, retired, Washington County Sheriff. I was the lead investigator on the original case. I'd like to coordinate with your department on Mr. Reeves's arrest and transfer. Can you put Officer Martinez back on? The next 3 hours passed in a blur of phone calls, statements, and coordination between law enforcement agencies. Martin Reeves was formally arrested and charged with kidnapping, child endangerment, and a litany of other crimes. Lily gave her statement to Columbus PD and agreed to come to Marietta the following week for DNA testing and further interviews. But before the night ended, Eleanor got one more call from her. Miss Price, it's Lily again. I wanted to tell you, when they took him out of my apartment in handcuffs, he looked at me and said he was sorry. And the worst part is I believe him. He is sorry. But it doesn't change what he did. It doesn't undo 26 years of lies. No, Eleanor agreed. It doesn't. I need time, Lily said. I need to process this, to figure out who I am outside of the identity he created for me. But I promise I'll come to Marietta. I promise I'll take the DNA test. I promise I'll try to remember, to be who I was supposed to be. You don't have to be anyone but yourself, Eleanor said gently. Whoever that is now. I just want to know you. Whatever time you need, take it. I've waited 26 years. I can wait a little longer. After she hung up, Eleanor collapsed into Rebecca's arms on their living room couch and wept. Great, heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep and broken inside her. Rebecca held her and whispered soothing words that Eleanor didn't really hear. Detective Morrison had left an hour earlier, promising to coordinate everything and keep them informed every step of the way. It's really her, Eleanor finally said, her voice hoarse. After all these years, it's really Lily. I know, Rebecca murmured. I know, baby. You found her. You never gave up, and you found her. But even as Eleanor let herself feel the overwhelming relief and joy, a part of her recognized that this wasn't the end of the story. It was barely the beginning. Lily had been Lily Reeves longer than she'd been Lily Price. She had no memory of her real childhood, no connection to the family she'd been stolen from. The DNA would prove biological relation, but biology didn't erase 26 years of lived experience. Eleanor looked up at the photos on the wall, that frozen 7-year-old girl, forever captured in time. Then she thought of the 27-year-old woman she'd met that morning, a stranger who wore her daughter's face and her daughter's compass, but had lived an entire life Eleanor knew nothing about. This is going to be harder than I imagined, Eleanor whispered. Rebecca kissed her forehead. I know, but we'll figure it out. Together. One day at a time. 2 weeks later, Eleanor sat in a small conference room at the Washington County Sheriff's Department, her hands folded on the table in front of her, waiting. Detective Morrison sat beside her, along with Rebecca and a family therapist named Dr. Patricia Cole, who specialized in recovered missing persons and reunification. The DNA results had come back 3 days earlier. 99.99% probability that Lily Reeves was biologically Lily Ann Price, daughter of Eleanor Price and James Price. James had been notified. He lived in Arizona now with a new family, and he'd responded to the news with shock and a request for time to process before reaching out to Lily directly. Eleanor understood. James had loved their daughter, but the disappearance had destroyed him in ways he'd never recovered from. He'd left Ohio when Lily was barely a year gone, unable to bear the constant reminders. Eleanor had chosen to stay, to search, to never give up. And now, finally, Lily was coming. The door opened, and she walked in, tall, graceful, wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater. The compass hung around her neck, catching the fluorescent lights. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. but she managed a small smile when she saw Eleanor.
"Miss Price?" she said. "Please," Eleanor said softly. "Call me Eleanor, if you want. No pressure." Lily nodded and sat down across from her. Dr. Cole handled the introductions, explaining her role and the process they'd be following to help Lily adjust to her recovered identity and reconnect with her biological family at whatever pace felt comfortable. "I've been doing a lot of research," Lily said after the formal introductions were complete. "About recovered missing persons, about childhood memory, about Stockholm Syndrome and parental manipulation. Trying to understand what happened to me, why I don't remember you, why I believed him so completely."
"You were 7 years old," Eleanor said. "You trusted adults to tell you the truth. That's not your fault."
"But I should remember something, shouldn't I?" Lily's voice cracked. "I've been trying so hard to access any memory from before, but there's nothing. Just this sense of wrongness. Like I've been living someone else's life. Like I don't know who I really am." Eleanor reached across the table, then hesitated, unsure if physical contact would be welcome. Lily saw the gesture and slowly extended her own hand. Their fingers touched, then clasped together. "I don't know how to do this," Eleanor admitted. "I've imagined this moment for 26 years, but I never really understood how complicated it would be. You're my daughter, but you're also a stranger, and I don't know how to bridge that gap." "Neither do I," Lily whispered. Dr. Cole spoke up gently. "That's completely normal and healthy. Reunification after this length of time isn't like flipping a switch. It's a process. It
takes time, patience, and a willingness to build something new rather than trying to recapture what was lost."
"What happens to him?" Lily asked suddenly, looking at Morrison. "To Martin, to the man who raised me." Morrison cleared his throat. "He's being held at Franklin County Jail in Columbus. He's been formally charged with kidnapping, child endangerment, false imprisonment, and several other counts. Given his terminal diagnosis, the prosecutor is working to fast-track the case. He's indicated he'll plead guilty to all charges." "He's dying," Lily said flatly. "Pancreatic cancer. He has maybe 3 months left, his oncologist says." "I know," Morrison said gently. "I'm sorry. I know this complicates your feelings even more." "He's a monster," Lily said, her voice shaking. "He stole me. He lied to me my entire life. He kept me from my real family. He deserves to rot in prison." She paused, tears streaming down her face. "But he's also the only father I've ever known. He helped me with my math homework. He taught me to ride a bike. He sat up with me when I was sick. He came to every soccer game, every school play, every parent-teacher conference. He was there. And I love him. And I hate him. And I don't know how to hold all of that at the same time." Eleanor squeezed her hand. "You don't have to choose between those feelings. They can both be true. He did terrible things, unforgivable things, and he also cared for you in the way he understood. That doesn't make what he did right, but it doesn't make your feelings invalid either." "I want to hate him completely," Lily said. "It would be easier if I could just hate him and love you, and everything would be simple. But it's not simple. Nothing about this is simple." They sat together in silence for a long moment, connected by their clasped hands and their shared grief for all the years they'd lost. Finally, Dr. Cole spoke. "Lily, would you like to see some photos from your childhood?" Eleanor brought albums that might help trigger memories, or at least help you understand who you were before. Lily nodded, wiping her eyes. "Yes, I want to know. I need to know." Eleanor pulled out the photo albums she'd carried from home. 3 thick books chronicling Lily's first 7 years. Birth photos, first steps, birthday parties, holidays, ordinary moments captured on film. She opened the first album and turned it so Lily could see. "This is you," Eleanor said softly, pointing to a photo of a newborn baby wrapped in a pink blanket. 2 hours old. You were born at 3:47 a.m., and you came into this world screaming. The nurses said they'd never heard lungs that powerful on such a tiny baby. Lily stared at the photo, her expression unreadable. Eleanor turned the pages slowly, narrating each image. First bath, first smile, first tooth. 6 months old, sitting up on her own. 9 months, crawling. First birthday, covered in cake. First steps at 13 months. "You were an early walker," Eleanor said. "And once you started, you never stopped moving. You were into everything. We had to baby-proof the entire house twice because you figured out the first round of locks within a week." A ghost of a smile crossed Lily's face. "I'm still like that. Can't sit still. Always have to be doing something." "You get that from me," Eleanor said. "I was the same way as a child. My mother used to say I was born in motion." They went through 2 more albums. Lily at 2, at 3, at 4. Photos of her with Eleanor, with James, with grandparents who'd since passed away. Photos of birthday parties and beach trips and ordinary afternoons in the backyard. When they reached the photos from Lily's 7th birthday, 3 months before she disappeared, Eleanor felt her breath catch. There was Lily, gap-toothed and grinning, holding up the compass her grandfather had just given her. The same compass that now hung around her neck. "He gave that to you at your birthday party," Eleanor said,
pointing to the compass in the photo. "My grandfather, your great-grandfather Harold. He'd spent 3 months making it. He engraved those 3 circles on the lid himself. They represented past, present, and future. The eternal connection of family across generations. He told you that as long as you wore that compass, you'd never truly be lost." Lily's hand moved to the compass at her neck. "I never take it off," she said softly. "Martin told me it was my mother's, his wife Patricia's. He said she'd wanted me to have it. But I always felt like it was more important than that, like it was trying to tell me something." "It was," Eleanor said. "It was trying to bring you home." Over the following weeks, Eleanor and Lily began the slow, difficult process of building a relationship. They met twice a week, always with Dr. Cole present initially, in neutral locations: coffee shops, parks, quiet restaurants. They talked about safe topics: books, movies, hobbies. Lily was an artist, working in mixed media, making a living selling pieces at local galleries and craft fairs. Eleanor learned that her daughter loved hiking and had traveled to 12 national parks, that she was passionate about environmental conservation, that she'd never had a serious romantic relationship because something always felt off, like she was waiting for something she couldn't name. "I always felt disconnected," Lily admitted during one of their meetings, "like I was observing my own life from outside, like nothing was quite real. My therapist thought it was dissociation from childhood trauma. Martin told me my mother died in a car accident when I was 3 and I had no memories of her. But now I wonder if some part of me always knew the truth, if my subconscious was rejecting the false reality he'd created." "Maybe," Eleanor said, "or maybe you just felt the weight of the lies, even if you didn't consciously know they were lies." 6 weeks after their first meeting, Lily asked if she could visit Eleanor's home, the house on Maple Street where she'd been taken. Eleanor had warned her that they'd moved twice since 1998, currently living on Cedar Avenue. But Lily wanted to see the original location anyway. They drove there together on a Sunday morning, Lily following in her own car. When they arrived at 247 Maple Street, Lily sat in her car for a long moment, staring at the house. It looked different now. The current owners had painted it gray instead of yellow, had replaced the front porch, had added a deck in the back. But the basic structure was the same. "This is where it happened," Lily said when she finally got out of the car. "This is where he took me." Eleanor nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. They stood on the sidewalk together, looking at the house. "I don't remember it," Lily said finally. "I want to. I've tried so hard. But there's nothing." "That's okay," Eleanor said. "Memory doesn't determine who you are. DNA doesn't determine who you are. You get to decide that for yourself." "Who am I, though?"
Lily turned to look at her. Am I Lily Price, the girl who was stolen? Or Lily Reeves, the person I became? Or someone in between? Someone neither of those people? I think, Eleanor said carefully, you're whoever you choose to be. You don't have to be the 7-year-old I lost. You can't be. She doesn't exist anymore. But you also don't have to be the person Martin shaped you into. You can be someone new, someone who acknowledges both parts of your past, but isn't defined by either. Lily was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Martin wants to see me before he dies. He's in hospice now. He has maybe a month left, the doctors say. Eleanor felt her chest tighten. Do you want to see him? I don't know. Part of me never wants to see him again. But part of me, she swallowed hard. He's dying. And despite everything, he was my father for 24 years. I can't just turn that off. Then see him, he said, though the words felt like glass in her throat. If you need to, for closure or reconciliation or whatever it is you need, see him. I'll still be here when you're done. You would be okay with that? Lily looked at her with surprise. After what he did to you? No, Eleanor said honestly. I'm not okay with it. I hate that you have any love for the man who stole you from me. But I understand it, and I'd rather you process those feelings healthily than carry them as resentment or regret forever. So if seeing him is what you need, then do it. Thank you, Lily whispered. A week later, Lily visited Martin in hospice. She went alone, despite Dr. Cole's suggestion that she bring someone for support. She was gone for 3 hours. When she finally called Eleanor, her voice was hoarse from crying. I needed to say goodbye, Lily said. I needed to tell him that I forgive him, even though I shouldn't, even though what he did was unforgivable. I needed him to hear that before he died. What did he say? Eleanor asked. He apologized, over and over. He told me he loved me, that I was the light in his life after everything went dark, that he knows he was selfish and wrong and monstrous, but he couldn't help himself. He was broken, and I was the only thing that made him whole again. Lily's voice cracked. And then he gave me something. A journal. He said he'd written down everything, every detail of how he found me, watched me, took me, every detail of those first months in the cabin, every lie he told, every time I cried for you, every moment of my childhood that was built on his crimes. He said I deserved to know the whole truth, even the parts he'd never told me. Eleanor's hands clenched around her phone. Do you want to read it? I don't know. Maybe. Eventually. Right now it's too much. Right now I need to breathe. I need to exist in this weird space between two identities and two lives and figure out who I actually am. Take all the time you know. Need, Eleanor said. He died this morning, Lily said abruptly, 2 hours after I left. The hospice nurse called me. She said he'd been holding on, waiting to see me one last time. And once we talked, once I forgave him, he just let go. Eleanor didn't know what to say. She felt relief and rage in equal measure. Relief that Martin Reeves wouldn't face trial, wouldn't have the opportunity to manipulate or justify himself further. Rage that he'd gotten to die peacefully, having received forgiveness from the daughter he'd stolen, while she'd suffered for 26 years. But she pushed those feelings down and said simply, I'm sorry for your loss. Are you? Lily asked, not accusatory but genuinely curious. Yes, Eleanor said, surprising herself with the truth of it. Because you're grieving, and you're my daughter, and your pain is my pain, regardless of who caused it or why. Martin Reeves died on November 3rd. He was cremated per his wishes, with no funeral service. In his will, he left everything to Lily, a modest savings account, the contents of his apartment, and the journal detailing his crimes. The prosecutor closed the case, filing the charges as concluded,
due to the defendant's death. 2 weeks after Martin's death, Lily asked Eleanor if she could visit the house on Cedar Avenue, Eleanor's actual home, not just the location of the kidnapping. Eleanor agreed immediately, and they set a date for the following Sunday. That morning, Eleanor cleaned the house obsessively, much to Rebecca's amusement. "She's your daughter, not the Queen of England," Rebecca said, watching Eleanor vacuum the living room for the 3rd time. "I know," Eleanor said, "but this is her first time seeing where I actually live, where I spent 26 years searching for her. I want it to feel welcoming." When Lily arrived, Eleanor gave her a tour of the small craftsman bungalow. The living room with its built-in bookshelves and fireplace, the kitchen with sunlight streaming through the window over the sink, the spare bedroom that had been converted into the research room. Lily stood in the doorway of that room for a long time, taking in the filing cabinets, the corkboard covered in photos and maps and case details, the bins stacked in the closet. "This is all for me?" she asked softly. "Every piece of paper, every file, every photo," Eleanor confirmed. 26 years of investigation, of refusing to give up, of believing you were out there somewhere." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I wish I remembered. I wish I could give you the satisfaction of me saying I always knew, somehow, that I was waiting for you too, but I didn't know. I had no idea. I was happy with him, content. I thought my life was normal." "That's not your fault," Eleanor said firmly. "You were a child. Children believe what they're told by the adults they trust. He manipulated you expertly. That's on him, not you." They went back downstairs and sat in the living room. Eleanor and Rebecca on the couch, Lily in the armchair across from them. The compass glinted at Lily's neck, catching the afternoon sunlight. "I've been thinking," Lily said slowly, "about my name. Lily Reeves is the only name I've ever known. It's on all my documents, my credit cards, my art. It's who I've been for 24 years. But legally, I'm Lily Price. That's my birth certificate. That's my real identity." "You can use whichever name feels right to you," Eleanor said. "There's no pressure to change. I understand that Lily Reeves is who you are now." "But it's not, though," Lily said. "Or it is, but it's built on a lie. Every time someone calls me Lily Reeves, it reminds me that my entire life was constructed by a kidnapper, that the identity I've built is false." "So what do you want to do?" Rebecca asked gently. "I don't know. Maybe both? Lily Reeves Price? Or Lily Price Reeves? Something that acknowledges both parts of my history without erasing either one?" She looked at Eleanor. "What do you think?" "I think," Eleanor said carefully, "that you should choose whatever name feels true to you. If that's Lily Price, or Lily Reeves, or some combination, or something entirely new, it's your choice. You're an adult. You get to decide who you are." Lily nodded slowly. "Lily Price," she said, testing the words. "It sounds strange, like a name for a stranger. But maybe that's who I need to become. A stranger to myself, so I can rebuild from the ground up." They sat together in comfortable silence for a while. Then Lily said, "I brought something. Martin's journal. I thought maybe we could read it together. If you're willing. I don't think I can do it alone." Eleanor's first instinct was to refuse. She didn't want to read the detailed account of her daughter's kidnapping. Didn't want to give Martin Reeves any more space in her head than he'd already occupied for 26 years. But she looked at Lily's face. So young, so lost, so desperate for connection and understanding. And she nodded. "Okay, if that's what you need, we'll read it together." Lily pulled a thick leather journal from her bag. It was worn, the edges soft with age and handling. She opened it to the first page, where Martin's neat handwriting filled the lines. She began to read aloud. "March 7, 1998. My family died today. Patricia, Emma, Sarah, all gone in a fire that started while I was at work. The house burned to the ground. Everything we built, everything we were, reduced to ash and memory. The grief is unbearable. I don't know how to survive this.
Lily paused, her voice shaking. Eleanor reached across and took her hand. "Do you want to keep going?" "Yes," Lily said. "I need to understand." She turned the page and continued. April 3, 1998. I've been driving aimlessly for weeks. Can't sleep in the apartment. Too many memories. Can't function at work. Took a leave of absence. Today I drove through Marietta. Saw a little girl playing in a backyard.
She was 7, like Sarah. Dark hair, like Sarah. For a moment, I could almost pretend, almost forget. Another page. May 15, 1998. I've been back to that house on Maple Street 3 times now. The little girl is there most afternoons, playing alone in the backyard. Her name is Lily. I heard her mother call for her once. She looks so much like Sarah. Same smile, same energy. I know it's wrong. I know I shouldn't be watching. But I can't stop. It's the only thing that makes the pain bearable. The entries continued, becoming progressively more disturbing. Martin detailed his growing obsession, his rationalization that God had put Lily in his path as a replacement for the daughter he'd lost. He researched kidnapping techniques, studied how to create false documents, rented a remote cabin in West Virginia under a fake name. August 10, 1998. It has to be soon. School starts in a few weeks. Once she's enrolled, it will be harder. I've been watching the house carefully. There's a pattern. The mother's partner leaves for work at 7:30 a.m. most days. If the mother is inside alone, distracted, it would be easy. Just walk up, introduce myself, tell Lily her mother sent me. Children trust confident adults. Eleanor felt sick, but kept listening as Lily read the entry from August 14, 1998, the day that had changed both their lives forever. August 14, 1998, 6 p.m. I did it. I took her. It was easier than I expected. Walked right up to her in the backyard, told her I was a friend of her mother's and that her mother had been hurt. Asked her to come with me to the hospital. She didn't even hesitate. We were 3 blocks away before she started asking questions. By then it was too late. She's crying now, asking for her mother, asking where we're really going. I've told her there was no accident, that was a lie, but that her mother did something bad and can't take care of her anymore. That I'm her Uncle Martin and I'm going to keep her safe. She doesn't believe me. She's scared. But children's memories are flexible. With time, she'll accept the new reality. She'll forget Eleanor Price. She'll become my daughter, the way she was always meant to be. Lily's voice broke completely. She closed the journal and pressed it against her chest, sobbing. Eleanor moved from the couch to kneel beside her chair, wrapping her arms around her daughter. And for the first time, Lily didn't stiffen or pull away. She leaned into the embrace and wept. "I'm so sorry," Lily gasped between sobs. "I'm so sorry I didn't remember. I'm so sorry I believed him. I'm so sorry for all the years you lost because of me." "No," Eleanor said fiercely. "None of this is your fault, not 1 second of it. You were 7 years old. You trusted an adult who seemed kind and confident. That's what children are supposed to do. He manipulated you. He broke you down systematically and rebuilt you into what he wanted you to be. That's on him. Only him." They held each other while Lily cried, and Eleanor felt 26 years of grief and rage and desperate hope finally finding release. Rebecca brought them tissues and tea, sat quietly nearby, providing silent support. When Lily finally calmed enough to speak, she said, "The rest of the journal is more of the same. Details about the cabin, about how he isolated me and fed me lies, about how I eventually stopped crying for you and started calling him Dad, about how he enrolled me in school in Zaleski under a false name with forged documents, about every birthday, every Christmas, every milestone of my childhood, all built on kidnapping and manipulation." "You don't have to read anymore," Eleanor said gently. "I do though," Lily said, "because it's the only record I have of those first months, of who I was before he broke me. And I need to know. I need to understand what happened to me."
Over the next several weeks, Eleanor and Lily met regularly to read through Martin's journal together. It was brutal, exhausting work. The journal detailed not just the kidnapping, but Martin's internal justifications, his twisted logic, his genuine belief that he was saving Lily rather than destroying her. It also contained observations about Lily's personality, her struggles to adapt, the moments when she'd resisted, before finally accepting the false reality he'd created. July 23, 1999. Lily's been with me almost a year now. She rarely mentions her old life anymore. When she does, I remind her that those are just dreams, not real memories. She's starting to believe it. She called me Dad yesterday without prompting. It broke my heart and filled it at the same time. Reading these entries helped Lily understand the scope of the manipulation she'd endured. But it also, strangely, helped her begin to forgive herself for not remembering, for believing Martin, for loving the man who'd stolen her. He was meticulous, she said after one particularly difficult session. He planned every detail. He anticipated every question I might ask. He created a complete alternative reality and then systematically erased any evidence that contradicted it. How was a 7-year-old supposed to resist that? You weren't, Eleanor said. That's the point. He knew exactly what he was doing. He targeted you because you were vulnerable. And he succeeded not because you were weak, but because he was experienced and calculating and absolutely committed to his delusion. 3 months after Martin's death, Lily made a decision. She came to Eleanor's house on a sunny December morning and said, "I want to legally change my name. Not back to Lily Price exactly. I'm not that person anymore. But to Lily Ann Price Reeves. Both names, both identities, acknowledging what was stolen and what I became." "That sounds perfect," Eleanor said. They filed the paperwork together, with Rebecca serving as a witness. On Lily's 27th birthday, June 12th, the name change became official. She was no longer Lily Reeves or Lily Price, but something in between, something new. For her birthday, Eleanor gave her a gift, a silver bracelet, handmade, with 3 interlocking circles engraved on the central charm. "My grandfather made this for my mother," Eleanor explained. "After he gave you the compass, he made this for her. She wore it every day until she died. And now I'm giving it to you. Past, present, and future. The unbreakable connection of family." Lily put it on immediately, wearing it alongside the compass. "Thank you," she whispered, "for never giving up. For fighting for me even when I didn't know I needed fighting for." "Always," Eleanor said. "I'll always fight for you. That's what mothers do." 6 months after their reunion, Eleanor suggested they take a trip together to Cedar Point, an amusement park on the shores of Lake Erie. It had been one of Lily's favorite places as a child. They'd visited twice before she was taken. Eleanor had photos of 7-year-old Lily on various rides, grinning wildly, fearless, even on the tallest roller coasters. Lily agreed, though she admitted she had no memory of ever being there before. They made a weekend of it, staying in a hotel nearby, spending 2 full days at the park. On their second day, they found themselves at the beach adjacent to the park, walking along the shore as the sun began to set. The compass hung around Lily's neck, and the bracelet gleamed on her wrist. Eleanor wore matching pieces, her mother's bracelet and a ring her grandfather had made, the only other pieces bearing the family symbol. "I've been thinking about something," Lily said as they walked, their feet leaving prints in the wet sand. "About forgiveness, and moving forward, and what it means to heal from something like this." "What have you been thinking?" Eleanor asked. "I've forgiven Martin. I know that probably sounds insane. He kidnapped me, brainwashed me, stole 26 years of my life and yours. But I've forgiven him anyway. Not because he deserves it, but because carrying that anger forever would only hurt me more." Eleanor was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I haven't forgiven him. I don't know if I ever will. But I respect your choice to do so. I also think," Lily continued, "that I need to forgive myself. For not remembering. For loving him despite everything. For being confused and conflicted instead of having simple, clear feelings about the whole situation." "That seems healthy," Eleanor said gently.
Lily stopped walking and turned to face the lake. The sun hung low on the horizon, painting the water gold and orange. "I wanted this to be a fairy tale," she said. "I wanted to meet you and instantly feel complete, to remember everything and slot perfectly back into the life I was supposed to have. But it's not like that. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes I don't know if I even want to be Lily Price. Sometimes I miss being Lily Reeves, when my life was simple, and I didn't know about any of this."
"That's understandable," Eleanor said. "You're grieving too, not just for the childhood you lost, but for the simple identity you used to have, for the version of your life where you didn't know you were a kidnapping victim. That's a real loss." "Is it wrong that I grieve for him too?" Lily asked, her voice small. "That I miss Martin, even though I know what he did?" "No," Eleanor said firmly. "He was your father figure for 24 years. Those feelings are real, even if the foundation they were built on wasn't. You're allowed to miss him and hate what he did. Both things can be true." They stood together in silence, watching the sun sink lower. Then Lily said, "Mum?" Eleanor froze. "What?" "Mum?" Lily repeated, turning to look at her. "I want to try calling you that, if you're okay with it. It feels wrong still, awkward and unfamiliar, but I want to try, because you are my mother, biologically, legally, and now maybe emotionally too. We're building toward that, at least." Eleanor felt tears streaming down her face. "Yes," she managed. "Yes, I'm okay with that. More than okay." Lily smiled. A small, uncertain smile, but genuine. "Okay then. Mom?" They continued walking along the beach, the sun setting behind them, casting long shadows across the sand. Eleanor thought about the last 26 years, the endless searching, the sleepless nights, the desperate hope that had sustained her through everything. She thought about the moment she'd seen the compass at the craft fair, that instant of recognition that had finally brought her daughter home. It wasn't the ending she'd dreamed of during all those years of searching. There was no instant reconnection, no complete restoration of what had been lost. Lily didn't magically remember her childhood or transform back into the 7-year-old who'd been stolen. There was no neat resolution, no sense of everything being fixed. But as Eleanor watched her daughter, this 27-year-old woman who was both stranger and family, examine a shell she'd found in the sand, she understood something fundamental. Love doesn't require perfection. It requires patience, honesty, and the courage to rebuild what was broken. The truth had finally come to light, and a family torn apart by a grieving man's desperate act had begun the long journey toward healing. "Mom, look at this," Lily called, holding up the shell. A perfect sand dollar, unbroken and whole. Eleanor walked over to examine it, and they stood together on the beach, two women connected by biology and trauma and 26 years of absence, slowly becoming connected by choice and hope and the possibility of a future built on truth instead of lies. The compass hung between them, catching the last rays of sunlight, its 3 interlocking circles still carrying the same message Eleanor's grandfather had engraved there decades ago. Past, present, future. The unbreakable connection of family across time. They'd found each other again. That was enough for now. The rest, the healing, the relationship, the reconstruction of what had been destroyed, would come with time. Eleanor took her daughter's hand, and together they walked back toward the car, their footprints in the sand marking the path behind them and the path forward all at once. 5 years later, Eleanor stood in the gallery space, watching as people moved through the exhibition with quiet reverence. The walls were covered with Lily's artwork, mixed media pieces that incorporated photographs, found objects, and text from Martin's journal. Each piece told a part of the story: kidnapping, manipulation, recovery, healing. The centerpiece hung in the middle of the room, a large canvas featuring a silver compass at its center, surrounded by fragments of police reports, newspaper clippings, and handwritten journal entries. The title card read, "The Weight of Memory" by Lily Ann Price Reeves. Lily stood nearby, talking to a journalist about the exhibition. She was 32 now, more comfortable in her identity, though she'd admitted to Eleanor that some days she still felt like she was playing a role. Daughter, artist, survivor, rather than simply being herself. Rebecca appeared at Eleanor's side, sliding an arm around her waist. "She's remarkable," Rebecca said softly. "Turning all that trauma into something beautiful and meaningful." "She is," Eleanor agreed. "Though I think she'd argue it's not beautiful, just honest." They watched as Lily guided the journalist to another piece, this one incorporating the actual compass. Eleanor had agreed to loan it for the exhibition. Lily had created a shadow box display with the compass surrounded by photos. 7-year-old Lily wearing it in the backyard, the missing persons poster, and finally, a recent photo of Lily and Eleanor together, both wearing pieces engraved with the family symbol. Eleanor thought about that day on the beach 5 years earlier, when Lily had first
Called her mom. It hadn't gotten easier immediately. There had been setbacks, difficult conversations, therapy sessions where they'd both cried and fought and struggled to understand each other. Lily had dated, broken up with someone, moved apartments twice, changed careers from gallery artist to art therapist working with trauma survivors. Eleanor had retired from teaching and started volunteering with organizations that supported families of missing persons. They'd built a relationship slowly, carefully, with realistic expectations and honest communication. Some days were good, some days were hard. Lily still had nightmares sometimes, still struggled with questions about identity and belonging. Eleanor still grieved the 26 years they'd lost, still battled anger at Martin Reeves, despite his death. But they had each other now. They had holidays together, weekly phone calls, monthly dinners at Eleanor and Rebecca's house. They had inside jokes and shared interests, kind of easy companionship that comes from choosing to love someone, rather than assuming love should come automatically. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was theirs. The journalist finished her interview and left, and Lily crossed the gallery to where Eleanor and Rebecca stood. "What do you think?" Lily asked, gesturing to the exhibition around them. "Too much? Too personal?" "It's perfect," Eleanor said. "It's your story. You get to tell it however you want." Lily smiled, that same smile that reminded Eleanor of both the 7-year-old she'd lost and the adult she'd found. "Thank you for supporting this. I know it can't be easy, having all of this on public display." "It's not my story to hide," Eleanor said. "It's yours, and I'm proud of you for telling it." They stood together in the gallery, surrounded by art born from trauma and transformation. 3 women who'd each been changed by the events of August 14, 1998, but who'd chosen to move forward together rather than remain frozen in that moment of loss. The compass hung in its shadow box on the wall, the 3 interlocking circles catching the gallery lights the same way they'd caught the sun on that craft fair morning 5 years earlier. Past, present, future. The unbreakable connection of family. It hadn't been the fairy tale ending Eleanor had imagined during 26 years of searching, but as she stood beside her daughter, complicated, imperfect, real, she realized it was something better, a beginning. A complicated, messy, difficult beginning, but theirs. And that was enough.